Hello everyone, this is Scott with Hi-Lux Optics. Today we're going to be giving you a view through the scope on the Phenom UHD spotting scope. This scope, when it comes in the kit, is going to come with everything you see here, minus the tripod of course. I'll go through the details stem to stern so you get an idea of what it is you'll be looking through. When the scope does come in the kit, it is going to come with this protective cover, which will be hiding the green-coated magnesium alloy frame. That keeps the spotting scope's body light to balance against the weight of all this large 85mm glass to give you as wide of a field of view as you can. Back here at the eyepiece, in the kit it will come with a 20 to 60 power variable magnification eyepiece. Of course, in the future, if you'd like to change that, flip the switch back here, go ahead and take this eyepiece out and switch it for something else. That simply snaps back into place. It has an extendable eyepiece so that you can go ahead and get your eye to the right eye relief and adjusts rather smoothly. Moving down the body, we have the focus ring which encircles the entire body. This gives you a very great deal of fine focus. As you can see, you have a lot of room to turn through to dial in on what exactly it is that you're going to be looking at. Also down here, you have the knob here that allows you to change the position of the spotting scope to sit wherever it is would be easiest for your eye to reach. Every 45 degrees there's a detent built into this ring so that you could snap it to a standard position or make sure that it's balanced upright wherever it is you need it to be. Moving on down to the objective lens, this is 85mm of glass. In order to keep the sun out of your eyes, it has an extendable sunshade built into the body. But I wouldn't worry too much because the glass is coated with ultra high definition wideband coatings that make sure to keep your image as crisp and clear as we can. We're going to get a view downrange while there's a bit of mirage going on, while the sunlight is shifting back and forth, and while the bullets are flying through the air. In order to get you that view, I will be attaching a camera to the eyepiece of this spotting scope, which of course will not perfectly mimic the human eye. I'll do my best to allow you to see everything that's going on, but with your own eye, you're going to have a much better, clearer, and richer experience. Let's get this thing set up on the line and take a view at Chris shooting some bullets down range, and then at steel targets even further away. Take it easy. Right now, you are looking down range at two targets placed 100 yards away. On the right, you'll see there are two printed sheets of paper, 8.5 by 11, and on the left is a 20-inch steel target. As you can tell, at 20 power and 100 yards away, these two targets are quite crisp, and behind them you can see the mirage going wild. Overhead, the sun is peeking through some clouds, so you'll notice the brightness varying pretty much constantly. I'm going to do my best to keep pace with the exposure, but we'll see what happens. Let's kick this out to a little bit of a farther distance and adjust the focus so you can see what that looks like. These targets are at 200, and let's adjust the focus for that. As you can see, bullet impacts are readily visible. I'm glad they repainted these so we can see where the new hits are actually hitting. On the left is a 20-inch target, and on the right is a 10-inch target. As you can see from the corners of this frame, I'm doing my best to capture the width, but the vertical I'm only getting about half because this is a circular view and you're currently looking at a rectangular frame. On to 300, that white target, and the orange one to its right. Getting a bit of mirage out at 300, but there's not much I can do about that at the moment. A little bit past those, we have two targets at 400. And you can still see the impacts on those even at 20 power through the scope. Now let's push it a little farther, jump all the way out to 650 yards. Still at 20 power. The targets from left to right are 30 inches, 20 inches, and 10 inches, and between the 30 and the 20 you can see a little orange painted 5-inch target. Even through the mirage and with a bit of wind, this is a pretty steady view. Now let's bring the magnification on up 40 power Do another one at 60 power to look through all the targets again. As I change the magnification, I'm going to have to adjust this phone so you'll see the image jump a little bit as I cut that portion out. We are now looking at 40 power, 650 yards, and whoever just tried to shoot that one on the left unfortunately seems to have missed. Now let's jump this all the way back to 100 yards. Those smaller circles on top are 2 inches across, while the ones on bottom are 4 inches across. And you can see the half-inch grid line of those bottom targets. The mirage is getting a little bit worse as it warms up. And the sun is a few degrees to my right. In a little while, the sun will culminate at 49 degrees azimuth at due south, which should be just a few more degrees to my right. Even looking into the sun, I'm not getting any glare, so I'm pretty happy with how the sunshade is working. Let's kick this on up to 60 power and do a look through the field before I have Chris take some shots and we see where those bullets fly. I'm going to move this out to a little bit of a farther distance and let's see what those targets look like. This here is 400 yards away. The mirage is pretty wild, but you can still pretty readily see the bullet impacts, especially on the one repainted. The steel target to the left probably needs to be replaced. It looks a little banged up. The light is shifting from the cloud cover moving overhead. We'll take a peek out at 580 yards. Where it seems that target on the left has more than a few holes that go all the way through it. It's definitely time to replace that one. And even farther, we'll take a look back out at 650 yards. So here it's quite a bit easier to see that on the left, the 30-inch target has a few impacts on it. On the right, the 20-inch target has a few impacts as well, but none in. And that was a great hit on 650 from whoever just shot that one. We're looking at this target at 100 yards at a little bit over 30 power. And Chris is just plugging shots hole through hole, about a 1/4 inch right of the center of the bullseye. Unfortunately, the wind picked up enough that it's blown our target a bit to the side. So we're dealing at all this at a slight angle. That's just the way things go sometimes. Yeah, dude, you're about a 1/4 inch right, but you put a hole through a hole.
Nice.
In between the 30 and 20-inch targets, you can see there is a small 5-inch circle just below the bush. Was that you at 650?
Yeah.
You want to hit the 5-incher?
I'll try.
I'm going to have Chris dial right up to that 5-inch target and see if he can hit it going from 100 yards. Ooh, cloud cover's coming in a bit heavier. Let's see how the trace looks when things... Just missed off the upper right edge. 2 o'clock, 2 inches.
I think I can get it in now.
Beautiful hit. Right there in the middle. Follow the trace all the way to where it hit the target.
Follow up.
Let's have him do a follow-up shot and see what happens. Beautiful impact. We went back the following week with the 33 power reticle, which has an MOA grid inside of it. This grid sits in the bottom third of the view, leaving the top totally open for you to see impacts just as normal. Or you can use the bottom to go ahead and measure whatever it is you're shooting at. This particular target at 100 yards seems to have been hit quite a few times since it's been repainted. The bullets are standing out fairly clearly, and I'll go ahead and measure the target and see exactly how big it is. Looks like it's a little less than 20 inches across from my particular point of view, probably because it's sitting at such a severe angle. Looking a little farther out at 200, we have a much prettier target that's been painted with a variety of colors. The impacts are standing out on that fairly clearly, and it also looks like it's a little less than 20 inches across. It too is sitting at an angle as we're looking across the field from right to left. This is a 10-inch target, also at 200 yards. Out at 300 yards, we have again a nicely repainted target on the left with a wide volley of rounds, and whoever was shooting at that 10-inch target has a beautiful grouping right in the center. This is a great distance to check the mirage at as well, although with the cell phone it's not going to stand out quite as well as it would for the human eye. In order to check the mirage, all you have to do is change your focus to something in between you and the target that you're shooting at. Let's jump a little farther afield. Out at 500 yards, these two targets are looking like they need a few more shots on them, although the one in the middle here with the 5 painted on it definitely has seen some wear and tear. Farther out at 580 yards, we have a big round target with plenty of holes going right through it, and on the left a paper target. At this distance, no matter what you're using through this sort of mirage, seeing bullet holes is going to be rather difficult unless you're shooting something very big. Moving out to 650 yards, one of our favorite distances, we see the most common targets that we shoot at. On the left, a 30-inch target, on the right, a 20-inch target, and in between the two, underneath that bush, is a little 5-inch target painted orange. I will say at this distance, with the sun shining behind, the blue color doesn't help the impact stand out, but that's okay because you can see the dust kick up when you hit it. Looking across level ground like this, the mirage is going to be at its strongest. So to check the sharpness of this at even farther distances, I'm going to look up the side of the mountain at some rocks that, to my naked eye, look a little bit like patches of snow. Up here, the mirage isn't quite so sporadic, and the rocks are standing out fairly clearly. If you were shooting at a deer or an antelope or something else on the side of a mountain, I'm sure you'd be able to see it quite clearly walking across the frame. Let's bring the view right on back to a little bit of a closer distance where someone has set up paper targets. This particular one at 200 looks to have only been shot on the upper right-hand target. There's a few impacts just a few inches out from center to the 10 o'clock. It doesn't look like they've fixed their zero for this distance, but I'm sure they're still having fun. Let's keep an eye out and see if anyone takes a shot at these targets. Well, it doesn't look like anyone's using this target at the moment. Still, it's nice to see something stand out so clearly at this distance through the mirage. I've really got to respect a fixed power lens with 33 power magnification. I'm going to look around real quick and see if there's another paper target at a different distance so that we can see impacts on that one. Oh, there's got to be a 100-yard target somewhere around here. Let's see, there it is. So here's a mix of targets out at 100 yards, all stuck on the same standing pole. And if I had to guess, I'd say those boxes above the circles on the small paper to the mid-left look like about an inch across. Fortunately, with this sort of grid, I can see that the orange circles are about 5 inches. That's 5 MOA at 100 yards. And now I can go ahead and check the little boxes here. And they are indeed about an inch across. Whoever's shooting at that one must be having a lot of fun getting dialed in. Looks like they've been using target row 2, column 3 for the most part, or at least I hope that that's what they're shooting at. It also looks like these little boxes are sitting... Oh, let me get this thing lined up. So there's about an inch of space in between each of them, and each box is about an inch across. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed taking a peek through our latest offering in the spotting scope arena. Once again, this is the Phenom UHD spotting scope. 85mm objective, replaceable eyepieces, center of body focus, and all sorts of fancy lens coatings that'll help you see what it is that you're shooting way the heck out there. Let's get this thing packed up and on its way home. To do that, eyepiece, cover this, sunshade, cover that. We have here the cap, fits right on in, and the end of the scope covering. There you have it. I'll level this out with the included detents, and we're good to pack this up and go on home. I'm not going to go on home yet because we want to bring out another rifle and shoot a little bit more. But I hope you enjoy seeing views through this in the future for pretty much all of our videos where we're showing shots downrange. You take it easy out there and enjoy whatever it is you're shooting, or whatever it is you're just looking at. That target at 650 yards is smaller than 1 MOA, so we're hoping the half MOA grouping that he got earlier will hold true at these distances. The wind is switching around, the sun is switching around, the mirage is picking up, and it's a bit of a tricky shot, so let's see what happens. Miss, just off the right.
Okay. Everywhere I'm holding.
That's 7mm or 38 caliber? 30 caliber. 7mm.
Beautiful.
338. What?
338.
You hit at the 9 o'clock, about an inch in from the edge.
I was about to say, I did a 9 o'clock hold. Let me just hold center then.
Beautiful. Miss off the 4 o'clock, 2 inches. Impact.
Oh, just elevation was good, just off the left edge.
Okay, so that was holding center.
Impact.
There we go. Ah.
Impact. Impact. Nice.
All right, this will be the last one for me.
Ooh, just over 2 o'clock, like an inch high.
Yeah. There's still more, but that's all I want to do.
Okay.